1. Check my phone to silence. Uh-oh.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to ZealZaddy. I'm Scott Coventry, and this is our first night on a new campaign. The first one we've had actually since the pandemic started, which is very exciting that we finally got on another campaign. We were running two before the pandemic struck, and had to figure out some new tools and toys. So I'm the DM of this campaign. I'm Scott Coventry, and I've run D&D since I was about 12. I'm not going to say how long ago that was, but it was AD&D, which is the oddest thing anymore. Tonight's session is a really weird session that we're going to be doing. It is a session that is a solo session with one of the players from the campaign Mysts of Elixia. That, by the way, starts on Saturday. But between now and Saturday, we're going to have different solo or duo sessions each night, tonight, Thursday, and Friday at 8:30, to both introduce the characters, but also get the characters integrated in a way that I hadn't done before, and I think is going to be kind of interesting to do. This is sort of like playing through session 0 and backstory and all that stuff to bring everybody together. The session for tonight is called The Conquered and the Cold One. All my sessions have names and titles, by the way. Words like conjure up images for me. Our campaign is going to actually start on Saturday at 8:30, and it'll run every Saturday from then out until we get through a session with season 1. Before we get started, though, give us a follow and hit the bell. Make sure you get notified of any new streams that we're doing. At the same time, if you have a chance, you can follow us everywhere that we are as ZealZaddy except Discord. If you look down in the doobly-doo below and hit the About, you'll be able to see a Discord button. We've been on Discord like crazy the last couple days talking about this. A lot of the players are going on there, and we're spending time on there. You'll find a lot of us. I'm on there pretty frequently now. Although I am pretty new to Discord, I'm really enjoying the community building going on in it. We're on outside of Twitch. We're on YouTube. We do videos there. I have a video in the works right now that is actually going to have some video from some other streams too, which is going to be interesting because I've not done that before. We're on Patreon, although I have not posted anything in a while, not since the last campaign. It's been quiet. I am going to start posting new content there pretty soon, starting with things like game notes or session notes. The maps that I'm making, I'll be posting those and letting people use those for their own games. And I do maps in Wonder Draft and Dungeon Draft. We're also on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all at ZealZaddy. 2 of our players are also publishers. And I think it's important to highlight the things that your team are doing. And I think it's really exciting when they're doing new stuff. The first one is Arian. He published a tome called The Tome of Arcane Philosophy. It's on DM's Guild, and it went copper this week. So if you can, go shout him out, maybe make a purchase and push it to gold. I'd love to see that happen. I think that'd be really cool for him to get to gold. Then Morgan Duty, he's also a player. He just put out a piece on DM's Guild called Children of Tiamat. And it is a new playable subrace. It is 2-headed Dragonborn, which I think is very interesting. I'm not sure which one makes the decisions. That'll be interesting to see happen. I would love to see someone play it. So follow them both, and you can see on the screen there. You can a little bit of information on everybody. You can see how to follow them. Somebody got sorry, Demi Reamer, you got banned from chat already. If you caps it too much, it'll get you. I can tell you that. So I'm going to take a moment and let Dylan introduce himself and his character. So let me bring him on. How you doing, Dylan?
Excellent.
So why don't you intro yourself?
Okay, well, I'm Dylan. I've been playing TTRPGs for about 5 or 6 years now. I'm 20 years old. Go to college in Eau Claire, Wisconsin. Out here having fun. What else do I say?
That's it.
I will note this is my first time streaming. Not
Okay.
just a D&D game, but ever. So
Okay, that's
I
exciting
might
too.
act like a bit of a robot at some parts.
Hopefully that won't happen.
But
So
I do love D&D, so I'm hopefully going to have fun. Very excited for this campaign.
let me roll our stream intro, and then we'll come back in 30 seconds or 20 seconds and be able to play. Okay, and we are back. So welcome to Mysts of Elixia, everybody. This is a new campaign. This is session 0.25, because there are going to be 3 player sessions first. And that, by the way, I have dogs. You probably heard that bark.
I have a roommate, but you can't see him.
Yeah, well, I hope he's not barking. That'd be pretty unusual.
Hey, don't bark.
Maybe not in Wisconsin.
It is
All right.
the Midwest, so some crazy stuff happens here.
So we're going to go through some part of this session for the viewers is opening the door into what's going on in the backstory of some of the characters. Dylan's character is a dragonborn. He lives in the frigid north, basically the equivalent of the North Pole of the Arctic, on a place called the Blue Wastes. And he has just offended his family and sister. She rises up.
It was more as if they offended me.
Yeah. And she rises up. How dare you bring those offenses into the family? And she rears back and she kicks you. Roll initiative.
I didn't even get a chance to say anything.
You can speak
All right.
while it's happening.
How dare I? This has been a long time coming, and you know it. And I rolled a 12.
Oh, nice. Let me, I gotta bring something up real quick so I can see it. I have notes all over my screens. It's like maddening seeing all the things I have everywhere.
Question, do I have the weapons that I start with?
Yes.
Okay.
It's funny, I've never actually started a campaign with roll initiative. Like first thing.
I don't think I have either.
I thought that would be cool to
think
do.
It has always started in like a prison for me.
A prison? No. Well,
Yeah.
you may be there by the
in
end of the
some
night.
sort of cell.
So she goes before you, and when she kicks, you must have moved back or something because she missed with her foot. You're up.
All right. Well, he's not going to take out his battle axe or his hand axes because he's not trying to kill her.
Right, she used her
You
foot.
know, he's trying to fist fight her. So he's going to go up after the kick, and he's going to try and clock her in the head.
Go for it.
That is a, I think, 21 to hit.
That'll hit.
That's 5 damage.
Nice. When you get in really close, you go and hit her. She takes another swing at you. And this time she does hit you. 14. Yep. And you take 7 points of damage from her, bringing you tighter and crushing in on you. Your turn.
So with that, he takes the blow and then he rears back and goes to punch her in the gut.
Everyone in
That
the
is a
everyone in the area of the two of you back away into a circle. And they realize what's happening here is bigger than a fight. This has been a fight that's been a long time coming. And she looks at you and she, a 4 to hit? Yeah, that won't hit.
24 to hit.
Oh, a 24 to hit. Yeah, a 24 to hit will work. Will hit.
Sorry, continue.
Do it.
What were you gonna say?
Yeah, she throws her weapons and everything to the side. It's weird looking at the Twitch screen that's delayed, but hearing the audio that's live. It's always odd to me. It makes me crazy even like dealing with that.
Just ignoring the Twitch stream.
Yeah.
Every now and then.
How much? What did you do?
So it's 5 damage. Every unarmed attack is 5 damage. So as long as I hit, I do 5.
Yep. When you get in close to her, she tries to grapple you. And she definitely grapples you. And she starts putting her weight to you. And you realize how much bigger she is when she does this. She is massive. She stands at least a foot taller than you and has the bulk and width to make it obvious there's not even a comparison. Oh, hold on. You take 12 points of damage as she pushes you down into the snow and brings her weight to bear on you. And her hands, you realize, are closing in on your neck.
So he's not looking well right now. He's beaten up. He's bloodied a little bit, and with just a final last ditch effort, he's going to try and kick her off him. Do I have to make an attack roll with disadvantage?
Yep. You can do it.
Okay, so 15.
15, it hits. Wow, that was a good disadvantage roll.
It's another 5.
Okay.
He kicks her in the stomach.
And as she falls back, she composes herself while you're in the snow. You need to leave. You're no longer welcome here. I'm the one who runs this family, and if you don't leave, we're going to hunt you down. And she turns away and grabs her weapons, and the rest of the group doesn't really do anything for a moment. They pause, and then they pull away a little bit, and they start to follow her, but at a distance from you.
He says nothing and just sits there in the snow for a good couple minutes thinking.
And it is snowing.
Yeah, he just takes a deep breath before getting up, limping to his feet. Does he have everything that he needs?
Yeah.
What is on his person?
Yep.
Without saying a word to anyone, he'll just leave the village. He walks away with his head held down low, or I should say he limps away.
And when you start to go, you hear carried on the winds, "Flee, outsider," which is a very about the worst term that can be used on someone that is in your tribe, is to be an outsider from your own family. But you know what it means.
He doesn't even look back, but his heart does sink as he hears this.
You can feel the wind starting to pick up too. it's starting to increase. The snow and the sound of all the wind starts to fade out any other sounds around you.
Does he know the direction of the ocean?
Yes, south.
He will move in that direction, clutching his furs to him as tightly as he can.
You know the direction, you don't know the distance. Because you've been traveling as nomads, periodic nomads, you were in a period where you were looking for a new place to call your next home. And that's when you realize that you know the direction, but you don't know how long it's going to take you to get there.
Nevertheless, he'll keep moving. He has nothing else.
Yeah. So you start walking, and the storm, you know that the storms here will sometimes go on for days or weeks. And you're as a tribe, you're used to it, although you're also used to the ability to build a fire and put up a tent or some kind of shelter. And you don't really have all that. You have what you can to make a fire, but you don't have anything to make a fire with. Because you're in tundra. You might be able to get some tufts of old grass buried under the snow, maybe. But you know it would take you time to do it. And if you travel far enough south, you'll eventually run into the pine forests.
That's where he's headed. He won't stop along the way for anything. He knows that this could be his end if he gets distracted by anything.
You go for a day, and everything is just white. You still see just the same white the entire time. You go a second day, and it remains white. The storm doesn't let up. The snow is falling, and as you're walking, you're realizing that snows are getting a little bit deeper every few hours. Not a lot at any one time, but it's definitely starting to pile. You continue for a third day, and you don't smell the salt of the sea. You don't see the pine trees yet. And you realize that it won't be long before you're going to need to hunt also or something. But you haven't seen anything to eat either. You go another 4 days before you see anything but the hint of sun in the middle of a sky that's just gray, snow bearing down. The snow started just below your knee, and by now you're trudging through it at your waist. And can you make me, no, you don't even need to make it. You realize that you're getting exhausted at this point, that you can feel the weight of time on you. What?
I said good because I rolled a 4.
Yeah. Well, that's what you would have rolled. That's what would have naturally rolled. And the storm relents a little bit. It doesn't continue piling snow. The sky's still gray. And you see the small moon go by one day. Mava, that's the smallest of the two moons. It's the moon of chaos. It's disquieting this far north to see her. You go a few more days and your stomach is rumbling. Hunger is eating at you. Thirst isn't. You can always take some snow and let it melt in your hand from your own heat and get some water, but the food is starting to get to you. And by a second week of walking, you realize that this is going to take you down if you can't get there in the next few days or week. And you continue on, knowing there's only one way to go. And you start to see some kind of a dark line on the horizon. And that's the first moment when you realize there might be something ahead. But it's just a sliver of a line.
I'll pick up his pace.
You'll try.
He'll try.
You'll try to pick up your pace.
Mentally, he'll be invigorated.
Yes.
And he'll feel as though he's moving faster.
And you keep walking and continuing forward. And the line stays just a sliver on the horizon for just forever, it seems. As you walk, the line seems to stay the little bit of darkness, and then you feel the wind start to pick up again, and the snow and the storm to start rising again. And then you realize that if that's a forest, it's really far still. But it could also be a hill or a mountain, like something on the horizon. And if it's showing as a line like that, it's probably beyond your reach, unless you can find food on the way, because it's more than a day or two out.
At this point, he'll stop, and he'll try and search for food. Anything. Particularly, I think he will poke around the snow for rabbits.
And you don't find anything moving. Birds every now and then way up high and in the distance, all to the south. You've seen nothing to the north at all. And you look around and, all the time, and it's just white in every direction. It's almost blinding to you. There's so much white. It's like snow blindness, where everything's white in every direction, and it's very disorienting.
Yeah.
And you're trained to live in it, and it's still blinding and hard to fathom how far out you were. And you can feel the exhaustion. You can feel your legs start to weigh, just incredibly heavy. Your equipment feels heavier than you would have thought. And you realize that your feet are moving slower than they were the day before. That they're dragging. You're dragging a straight path through the snow. Rather than footsteps, it's more like just shuffled feet as you go through the snow that's pulling you through.
My frostbitten.
And you can see the sun in the sky, and for a moment you think that you see fire in front of the sun. It's on the horizon. Keep going, I assume.
Yeah.
And
I know what that means, but I don't think he does.
And as the sun lifts up, you realize that there's a fire up there that is not the sun in the distance. There's some kind of flickering glow. It's a speck, but it's definitely moving like the light of a fire rather than the light of the sun. And as the sun goes higher, it disappears, but you know at that point that it's not a reflection from the sun or anything like that. It's something more real. And you continue heading that way. Whatever it is, it's not small. And you continue walking, and you realize it's some kind of a big bonfire. And you get close enough that you can see some kind of motion around it or in front of it, between you and it.
Normally, he would try and avoid it, but given his state, he will investigate and try and search for anything useful, or perhaps liberating.
The most useful thing you have is what's on you and snow banks that can hide you some.
He's going to go look at the bonfire and see if there's anything useful there.
As you get closer to it, you realize there's movement in front of the bonfire, and there's obviously a silhouette of some kind. There's somebody moving in front of it.
He's going to try and sneak up. He doesn't want to be noticed.
And you're looking, and it looks like whatever it is, it's a big body. And it seems to be moving in maybe a dance.
Interesting. He'll creep up slowly. Is it just in the in like the middle of the tundra?
Yep.
Is there any place to like hide or sneak up?
Yep. There's banks of snow that you can kind of just pull down behind. Make me a perception check.
That's going to be a dirty 20. Unnatural 20.
You hear meh float across the wind. Meh. Like some kind of
starts salivating. It's a sheep, right?
Maybe a goat or a sheep. It's one or the other.
Yeah. And like his eyes go wide and he starts to look for it. Where the sound's coming from.
You don't see it, but it came from the direction of the fire.
Begrudgingly, he'll get up and he'll begin to get closer towards the fire. Still be cautious. He'll have his hand on his great axe, but he needs some food.
Make me a Constitution check.
It's going to be is it a save or a check?
It's a check.
Okay, so it's going to be a 15.
Okay. You're moving okay, but you're stumbling a little bit, mostly from weakness. And as you start to get a little bit closer, you hear the distinctive meh from the what is more clearly a goat in your ear. You hear it in your ear, and then the dancing stops.
Okay.
The silhouette moves away from the fire and disappears. Just because there's no silhouette, you can't see whatever it was when they exit the front of the fire.
Okay. Well, he'll get up to the fire to warm himself.
As you start to head towards it, you see somebody come out of from the side of the fire with a spear in hand. And the spear's lowered.
He's not going to say anything, but he'll have his hand on his axe. Just stare at them. Is he able to make out the details of this person?
You can tell that she's wearing furs that just make her look massive. They just wrap like over and around her and make her almost look like a giant, but it's obviously not a giant when you see up a little closer. But whoever it is hardy enough to live out here, so there's always that risk.
He will take a couple steps forward, but then just stumble to his knees out of exhaustion.
And you see the spear gets pulled back and planted into the ground. And this person, the silhouette, walks towards you. And you feel somebody's hand. It's not a dragonborn hand. The warmth is different. The texture is different. It's a fleshy hand, like not a dragonborn. And it touches your hand, and it slips your axe away, and your axe disappears into the snow. And
He doesn't even care about it at this point.
the hand takes your hand and lifts you, and you feel this person put their arm under your shoulder and walk you to the fire's edge. And you see when you get closer, there's a tent off to the side, a fur tent.
He's gonna try and get a good look at their face.
She looks at your face too.
I suppose I should describe how my character looks, huh?
She's a human. And she's got brown hair, brown eyes. She's got paint on her face. Or maybe it's art. You're not sure. Maybe it's skin art. It's hard to tell. Your eyes aren't even seeing clearly at the moment. But you realize that she's not actually that big, but she's very strong. Probably from living out here.
I haven't described my character's appearance yet, by the way. Should I do that now?
Sure. Perfect time.
Have I even said his name?
I don't think so.
So, she looks upon Eslov, the Dragonborn barbarian. Eslov is about 6'7". He is, at the moment, a gray color, like a very light gray color. He weighs about 315 pounds. He's 6'7". His eyes are this dull yellow. And he has two twisted horns that are not too long, but one of them is broken off from something. And that's about all I can say about him. Unless you have anything else to add.
She has ruddy skin, reddish from the heat. Her hands are worn with they're weathered, but she doesn't look old. And she walks you to the edge of the fire and she sits you down and lets you warm. The goat has a rope between a collar on it and is staked into the ground.
He's gonna point at it.
She ignores you and she goes into her hut. And the goat is looking at you. Meh.
At the goat. I'll stare right back at it. I'm not gonna be able to say anything, but I'm gonna stare at that goat.
You realize that outside of where the fire is, it's still snowing even, but the fire's created an area around it that's warm, and you can feel the brown grass in this area from the fire keeping the snow melted away. She comes out of the tent, and she's got a bowl in her hand. And she starts to speak, and you can tell that she's having trouble getting the words out correct. If we to eat, to food.
Is this common?
It is. And it's very broken. And she takes a knife out and puts it in the bowl. Says, I need your blood. And she takes your hand and she holds it in front of her.
I'm going to try and pull back a little bit. I don't want...
And she points down at the bowl. And she doesn't like fight you. She just holds your hand.
He's just staring at her like, what is this weirdo doing? He's got this shocked look on his face. Like,
it's a very small knife. It's not like a big knife.
Yeah, but she still tried to cut me.
Well, she suggested it.
Why? He says.
If we are to eat, I need your blood. Not a lot. I need some blood. And you must give it willingly, or it will not work.
Let me do it myself then.
And she gives you the knife.
Cut himself across the palm and
And she takes your
let it
hand.
drip into the bowl.
She takes your hand, your squeezed hand, and squeezes it in between her two hands. She makes a ball of her hands around yours, and she squeezes your hand and forces blood to pour into the bowl. You know. And you have known of a shaman, although you've never seen anything like this, but this feels like something that a shaman would do, a ritualistic kind of thing.
Gotcha.
And it makes a little pool of blood in the bowl, and she takes the knife back. She cleans it off in the snow, and she gives you your hand. And she takes
Like-
the... Huh?
He'll stick his hand in the snow to
Right.
let the wound close up a little bit.
She says, you are 3 days from any other food. And you hear,
Been
meh.
traveling. I strangled that goat. I've been traveling for 2 weeks. I think I can go another 3 days.
One thing that you realize as you're sitting there, that she seems to always keep herself between you and her goat. It seems to be a precaution. Like a
You
concerning
think
thing.
I have the strength to take that goat right now? I can barely move, much less put up a fight against a goat.
You're a worm.
Yes?
They're very powerful. You're powerful. In your blood, there's
Not
much
at the
power.
moment, I'm not.
You will be after we eat. And she takes the blade of her knife and puts it in the blood. And she starts letting it drip patterns into the snow around the two of you. And she's very skillful at how the blood drops. It makes interesting patterns, and as you see it happening, there's a real art to what she's doing, and you can see that there's a skill you would not have thought someone would be able to have with dripping blood from a blade, as far as the ability to make it into something other than splashes. She goes into the tent, and she comes back out with like a ceramic pot with a hole on the top. And she sticks a stick in the fire, and she puts it into there, and you see smoke start to rise out, and you can smell some kind of scent you don't know, but it's not unpleasant. What were you gonna say?
I was just going to ask, are you some sort of shaman?
I call spirits.
Spirits? He's confused by this. He doesn't really know what that means.
And a moment later, you feel that your ear is wet.
Reach up to touch it.
And there's something furry there. And you realize the goat has walked over. And it's licking your ear.
He's going to like reach up and stop himself and look at the shaman. Keep this thing away from me. For its sake.
And you realize that she starts to go into song of some kind of chanting or singing. You don't know the words or...
So she's like not paying attention to me?
Correct.
And
like she's sitting in the circle, and the two of you are sitting in the circle, and the goat is sitting outside the circle.
He's going to push the goat away.
Okay. The goat just stays near. The goat doesn't seem to want to leave. The warmth of the fire is a good thing. And the fire crackles, and you feel the hunger just building in you.
I look back at that goat.
It's a distance away, but it's not.
Big as the goat.
And the fire starts to get a little bigger, and it doesn't make sense that the fire would get bigger because nothing's been done different. And after an incredibly long time, you start to feel something. You think it feels like a thunderstorm is starting to build too now. Not just the snow, but you hear thunder roll in the distance. And she doesn't stop chanting or singing or whatever it is that she's doing. And she grabs your hand, the one that you cut, with her hand, and she squeezes her hand into yours, interlocked like that, and holds it tight. And you feel that?
The storm? Yes, the storm is building.
Make me a perception check.
Do you add modifiers to natural ones, or do you just count them as natural ones?
You won't get a modifier to a natural one. It wouldn't have mattered if you, even with your modifiers.
Okay. Right.
Right. And the storm is starting to get closer. It's hard to tell where it is because the sky's just totally gray anyway. And after another long period, her chanting speeds up and the storm gets louder. And you realize that the thunder isn't stopping between strikes. It just is a continual rumble.
What are you doing?
And she's singing, chanting.
You're starting to get a little nervous.
And then you realize as you're sitting there that the storm is coming from the ground, not the sky.
Okay, now he's confused instead of nervous.
Make me a survival check.
9. Even with proficiency.
The rumble is continuing, and on the horizon you see a line of darkness as the rumble gets louder and louder, and then you see that line of darkness start coming closer, getting bigger, taller, and you realize from your days of hunting that that's not thunder, that's a herd of something. And herds in the Arctic can go on for a day. They're just gigantic.
He's gonna look around for some place to like lay low, to like
And
get out.
she squeezes your hand and pulls you to stay where you are.
Yeah, he's gonna like try and get up before she does that.
If you leave the circle, we will not feed.
He'll like look back at the herd and look back at her, and then he'll sit back down.
And you can feel the rumble of their hooves starting to hit. You know, it doesn't sound like thunder anymore. It sounds like movement and mass. Just the weight of bodies. Whatever the herd is made of, they're not small animals. These are not deer or anything like that. These are something bigger. And
He'll shut his eyes tight and just wait.
a good choice. And you feel the rumble get closer and closer and closer. And then suddenly that rumble is so loud, it sounds like like thunder striking next to you. And you feel the ground stop. All this thunder just comes to a complete halt. And you feel and hear.
He'll open his eyes with a start.
And you see maybe 20 feet away, there's a buffalo. I'm sorry, not a buffalo, a bison. Looking at the two of you, and behind it, they're just lines of bison that have stopped. And this one is just looking at you. The others are just not moving at the moment. She starts chanting again. And after a little while, all of the bison start to move on, except the one that's staring at you. It stays still. And after probably half a day, all the other bison move away from where you're at. And this one hasn't moved a foot. It hasn't taken a step in the snow. And
what have you done to this animal?
And she hands you your axe, and she pulls her spear from her side. And the bison stands there. You've killed a bison before?
There's no honor in this.
There is meat, and she gets up.
I must, but
she walks over to it, and she takes her spear and plants it into it. And you hear it, and it starts to like wake from whatever was in. You need to assist.
I'm going to go and help.
And it's not able to really move away yet. It's starting to waken, but by the time the two of you have come down on it with your weapons and struck it in the right places, I mean, it was basically a defenseless animal. It falls to its knees, and you can tell its breathing is warming the snow in the area it's in, and it's melting it, and then it just rolls on its side. She takes out her small knife, cuts a little bit off of a haunch from the back and gives it to you. Either raw or cooked makes no difference.
Right away, he's going to eat it. Immediately, as soon as he's handed it, he will eat it.
And she takes the meat from you. She takes your hand, says, "You need to eat slowly. Pace. You can't eat that quickly or you'll lose your food." And you know that that's actually true if you've been starving, that if you eat too quickly, that it will make you purge it.
Right.
That may not make a difference. Can you make me a wisdom check? Let's see if you throw up today.
Rolls have just gone to. It's going to be a 10.
Okay. You eat too quickly, and you know it. It just doesn't seem to matter. And she just waits and watches. And after a little while, you get that food in you. You feel it coming the other way. And she steps
He'll turn
back.
away from her. He'll turn away from her, so he's not facing her.
Right.
Expunge into the snow.
And you seem to retch for so long. And what's odd is because it was raw meat and it was bloody raw meat, you look like you're throwing up blood, not even just meat, it's just vile what's coming out. It's interesting though that she was able to call a herd to her to feed on.
He will, once he's finished with his little game, he'll cover up the mess with the snow, so it's not unsightly. And he'll turn back around and he'll try and eat it again. This time, really trying to eat more slowly.
You think you can now? You couldn't have the first time. It wouldn't have been even possible, probably. You have strong blood. I did not think the gods would send me a herd. I was hoping for a rabbit.
I don't know what that means. Blood is blood, surely. There's nothing special about it.
She cuts up the meat and she starts putting some over by the fire to cook. She does eat some raw, but she doesn't eat all of it raw. She doesn't eat her meal raw. She eats some of it raw. Initially.
Do you happen to have any salt?
I have nothing of the sort. I'm on my oindapan, which you realize that means something like Journey of Awakening or something like that, which is odd. You almost never see anybody out here by themselves. It's deadly.
How did you do that? Summon the herd.
I didn't summon the herd. You summoned the herd. I provided the opportunity for your blood to call what it needed. Like I said, you have strong blood, and you gave it willingly and enough. Look what it provided.
Why didn't you just use your own blood?
I can't call food to myself. I can only call food to assist.
What's your name?
And she sits down by the fire and she starts eating. You're from the tribes up north, the ones that are moving now.
That's right. Where are you from?
From south. You'll make it to the town after you fill, although you will need some rest.
Town. I'm traveling towards the ocean.
Yes, that's where the cities are. I'm Odara.
Well, I know that.
Yeah. Although
Okay. Never mind.
cities is a... Never mind, you won't know that. Every now and then she throws some seeds from the little incense burner or something into the fire. And it... Oh. Am I moving out of my... Oh, I am. I was moving over. Sorry, everybody, if you saw part of this with only half of me. I think I just moved the wrong way. No, now I'm back. I'm Odara. My tribe is south of here, but also to the east. We're from the forests.
You may call me a slove.
Why are you alone out here?
It is a long story.
We have time.
Essentially, I was banished.
And she takes some more seeds and throws them in the fire, and it makes a nice scent in the air, and makes the meat seem to taste good. Do you cook any of your meat, or you eat it all raw?
On occasion, my people will cook our meat, but this is only for ceremonial reasons. We have no reason to. We can digest it raw.
I've heard of your kind being up north, and I knew you were there, but I have never actually met one of your kind.
Would I have met a human?
Probably when you've gone to the cities the couple times.
Right. I do not have much experience in interacting with people as yourself.
You seem to have too little fur to keep you warm.
We've existed in these lands for hundreds of years, and our skin is thick and protects us from much of the cold. So yes, I do need less coverings than you do.
Your blood, when it came out, was different than my blood. I could feel a difference in it.
That makes sense.
And you fill up, and the food is more delicious than probably any meal you've had. And she goes into the tent, and she comes out, and she has a little, like a barrel, and she pops a cork out of it, and the bowl that had the blood in it, she pours some in there, and it smells like something fermented. You're not sure what. It's got like a white milky appearance. You need more than meat.
Like, he would do the equivalent of raising an eyebrow, but I don't think he has eyebrows. So.
Right. Maybe brows, but not like hair on them.
No, he's got like the scales that shut out a little bit. Protect his eyes from the sun.
And she takes a sip, and she takes some of the seeds from the pot and puts them in there and stirs it up and takes another sip, and then she hands you the bowl.
Like, reach up to his face and smell it.
It smells like a beer, but it looks like goat milk.
Take a sip.
It tastes like a beer too, but a little creamier, a little bitter.
Drink the whole thing. I assume at this point he's filled up enough to where he can pretty much eat at his own pace, right?
Yeah. And she just sits and eats with you and doesn't say anything much. I mean, she'll talk a little bit, but eventually it gets pretty late, and you think you might actually have gotten a little drunk. Your eyes get heavy, and it's probably exhaustion as much as anything else. And she takes the bowl, and the empty bowl, she waits till it's empty, and she goes and puts that in a tent, And when she comes back, your eyes are half closed, and she throws a fur down behind you, and she just pushes you back. You can feel her pushing you, and you just lay back, and you realize that the stars are amazing now, that the snowstorm is starting to lessen, and you can see in the sky a little bit, and you see the bigger moon out, the calming moon. And it starts to look a little fuzzy as your eyes get heavier, and eventually you succumb to sleep. And then after whatever amount of time, you start to feel snow reaching, like slowly rising up over your face. Very slowly.
Pop out of the snow and just like as soon as he realizes
You realize that must have taken an hour for that to happen, because it was from the snowing, nobody burying you. You just laid there so long. And you realize that the fire is gone. There's no tent. There's no goat.
You'll look around.
There's almost not a trace of her other than the wood that is in the middle of the fire.
Is it still burning, or is it smolders at this point?
No, smolders, and it's starting to get buried. What isn't already smoldering is starting to get buried by the snow.
So nothing's left.
Your stuff.
Of course.
Make me a perception check.
Finally, a good roll. It's a natural 20.
When you get up, you realize that your muscles are so sore and tight, and like your legs hurt, your back feels like it's been stabbed, your arms, like the muscles almost feel like they've been torn from whatever it was that got you here. This journey has worn your body in a way it's never been worn before, and there was barely a fight. And you realize it's not the fight that did it. It was nature. It was the world around you doing it to you.
Yeah. He'll do some stretches, whatever he can.
There is still a bison there on the ground.
He will go up to it and he will collect not as much meat as he can carry, but a practical amount. He's not going to hoard it because he wants other animals to have their food too. And then he will leave in the direction that he has been traveling.
And as you finish with the meat, you see in the distance two little eyes in the snow. Low to the ground, hard to see. And when it starts to move, you realize it's some kind of a fox. It must have caught scent of the meat, and it just watches and waits for you to leave.
I'll give a slight nod as he leaves.
Foxes are considered good luck. They mean you've succeeded in a hunt because they scavenge a lot. So that's, your tribe believes in omens. That's a good omen.
Right.
Do you remember how many days she said travel it would take you to get to the town?
3.
3, yeah. So you have 3 days of walking ahead of you.
Yeah, and he's feeling very invigorated this time.
Your legs are super sore. your back and arms and shoulders, but you have energy now.
And he's also got hope.
Huh?
He's also got hope,
Yes.
which sounds a little corny.
He does have hope. They're
As
good,
soon as he gets there.
and you start traveling, and after the 3 days, you start to see the city. The city is a loose term in this regard. It's a bunch of fur-covered shelters, maybe 30, 40, and one stone building by a dock. And there's a ship at the dock.
Yes.
Go on.
So the ocean's right there, right?
Yep. Yeah, there are no cities not on the ocean. You can't even imagine why a city would be anywhere that isn't on the ocean.
At first, he doesn't even pay attention to the city. He goes right for the ocean.
Okay, you don't need to make it. You smell the scent of death waft over you, and it is overwhelming. And as you head towards the sea, you realize that they're taking parts off a whale that's been dragged up to the shore. And the smell of it is, I mean, you've smelled it before, like whale meat.
Yeah.
But whales take a long time to dismember and clean. And they're cutting chunks off and putting it in barrels and rolling it over to the ship.
He will go and help them if he can.
As you get anywhere near there, the dock master comes heading down off the dock. What are you doing? Wormling, what are you doing here?
Helping you with your kill.
Make me a perception check. It's an easy one.
Okay, well, I think I rolled high enough, but I keep forgetting it's 18. I keep forgetting what my score is.
There's a body on the dock. A person's body.
Is it a dead person?
It looks like it.
He's gonna ignore it for now. It's not really any of his business.
Give me a
looks at
moment.
it with a strange glance, but
And the
Do
dock
they-
master
do they-
says, "Give me a moment," and he leaves. And you stand there, and look.
I guess he will go up to the body to look at it.
It's a body of a human that looks like it froze to death. It has blackness in its skin in several places. And the dock master had gone into the stone structure, the only stone structure that was there. And you see him come out, and there's a woman that comes out with him that is dressed differently than you've ever seen. Oddly, not wearing a whole lot of fur or covering, with eyes that almost look like the red of fire or something. Her skin is maybe
human?
gray or pale. And she
Is this
starts...
human.
It's hard to tell. The skin tone doesn't look like humans you've met. The eyes definitely are different. Maybe another shaman. I mean, they
Is she
have
weird?
odd things. And the dock master and her come towards you. She looks at you, and for a moment, she kind of she looks like, "Turn around," she says in common. Do you have a tail?
Excuse me? I do have a tail. Oh, is she asking me that?
Yes.
He just looks at her in confusion, like, who are you?
He says you're looking for work. Is that the case?
I am not currently working, and I see that there is work to be done, so I volunteer to work.
The work is hard, as you can see, and she points. She brings her hand to the pointing at the body. This work is not cut out for everyone.
He's gonna like look down at his bulging muscles and say, "Oh yeah."
I need someone to take over for him. So, if you're volunteering, you can start stripping the meat from the whale, saving especially the blubber, and getting that into the barrels. The barrels will come off the ship as you need them. And you see there's several people doing it.
Yeah, as soon as she says that, he's gonna go over and start doing it.
And her and the dockmaster continue talking. You feel like you're being watched. Like, even though they're sitting there talking, they're keeping their eyes on you while you're doing it. And after a while, the dockmaster goes back into the building, but she stays out. And you can tell that everybody that goes by her shows deference to her. They show respects as they go past her. Can you read? You can read common, right? Yeah.
Most likely.
Yeah, probably not very well, but well enough. The ship has a name painted on the side of it in what looks like gold, called the Daydreamer. I'm sorry, the Daydream, not Daydreamer. And the whale, by the way, is a tusked whale. It has a single horn that comes straight out the front, like a unicorn whale, but really big.
Slov is actually enjoying it because he likes the smell of dead whale.
And whale would have tasted better than bison.
It means food.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know that the oil, the blubber can be used to get oil for fires somewhere, not anywhere you use. But the blubber they don't take to the ship directly. They're taking the meat to the ship, but they're taking the blubber over to this device that's nearer the ship, and they're squeezing it through this press, and it's flattening it, and then it goes into this where there's a fire under it, and it looks like they're cooking the blubber and melting down whatever liquids or oils are in it that do pour into barrels next to it.
He finds this odd. He's like, "You're wasting that food." He says that out loud.
And one of the people working, they're not wasting it, they're squeezing the oil out of it. The oil's worth way more.
You can't eat the oil though.
You can eat the
There's a
meat
foul
after.
flavor.
If you want to eat the blubber after, have at it.
I just don't see a reason.
We can eat the blubber. You're right. We can eat the blubber, but the oil is where the money is.
He doesn't really understand, but he'll go back to doing his business.
When you get up to the ship, that body has been left on the dock, by the way. They're just going right past it. When you get to the ship and you start to roll the barrels up, you realize this ship is weighed down pretty well already. You can see in what is essentially a hold of some kind, the barrels are piling up. And you realize there's more people on this ship than in the town, probably, which is something you had not seen.
At some point, eventually, as he's walking past the body, he will look at it and it'll be like, is there no ceremony to be had for the dead?
His family is coming to pick him up.
Family?
Yes, he had a family.
He doesn't really understand what that is. He just looks at them with like this blank expression.
And you hear someone say, "Quicken your pace. We need to get out of here by sundown."
He like snaps out of it and then begins to work again.
And you can feel the wind start to pick up and the snow start to come a little harder. And the woman comes up to you. And she puts her hand on your shoulder and says, you work hard.
I do what I must to survive.
I need somebody to fill in until we get to Elixia. Do you need to work?
Has he ever heard of Elixia?
No.
Elixia?
It's an island.
Do I know what an island is?
Yeah, you've been to the sea a couple times. You know that there are little pockets of land off the shore. You can see some from different places.
So from his experience, islands are like these small
Yes.
outcropping of rocks.
Yeah.
And he's like, what are you going to an island for? They're too small. There's nothing there.
And she smiles. Those are not the kinds of islands we're talking of. There are bigger islands than that. Much bigger.
Whoa. Basically, yeah.
But you need to keep going. If we don't get out by sometime tonight, we won't be getting out for a whole season. You can see the ice is starting to build up in the sea. And that is true. It's slushy in different spots.
There is nothing for me here. I will come with you to this Elixia.
And at some point while you're moving the stuff, some people come and are crying over the body, and a family, whatever that means to you.
He's so confused. He's like, why are they crying, but why aren't those other people crying? He's like, why isn't everyone crying? He doesn't understand.
Right.
He starts to tear up a little watching them.
And they do what they can to lift the body and move it. The family, the people that came
sort of look like him.
Do they? I don't know. They don't necessarily all look that much like him, but there's enough of them that they can lift the body up and get it up. And they head out into the town, and then through the town and out. They disappear down a road, for lack of a better term. It's really just a place where people have walked, and you can see there's less snow there. And everyone else works through the night up until there's nothing left on that carcass. And whoever is cutting that carcass was masterful at cutting long slices that they would then roll into the bottoms of the barrel, and then do another one and every time they cut, it seemed to be cut where it would fit perfectly in a spiral in the bottom, and they maximize the space that the meat takes in these barrels like you've never seen. This is an expert of this, whoever it is, the butcher.
He wants to meet them.
And as they finish rending the blubber for the oils, they do take the blubber with them. And the blubber has been getting smoked from the fire. So it becomes sort of like a jerky, like a smoked meat.
He's going to take some.
Odd. It becomes very small. It's weird. It tastes like what you'd think, but it's chewy and hard. You got to kind of pull away with your teeth, and it tastes
doesn't like it
similar,
very much.
but it's
doesn't-
weird.
It's not as nourishing as it
No.
would be.
It doesn't feel like you could get filled up with this.
You sort of the glares of the people who are pressing the oil out.
Yeah. And we are at a point, I think we're going to take a short break. And we'll come back in like 5 minutes. Please, everybody in chat, you don't have to leave. It's just 5 minutes or something.
Don't leave.
I don't even know how many people are in chat. We got 1, 2.
I think 5. I see 5 viewers, I think.
6. Yeah. Okay. All right. So we're going to take a 5-minute break. We'll be right back. All right. You can get something to eat real quick or whatever you need. I'm going to go get some to Nasha. Am I having frames? It's hard to tell how loud I am when I'm wearing a headset. How loud am I? Is there anything I'm ready? Just need to nudge. He's getting lighter. Is Amelia upstairs? How you doing there? You know what? I wonder if they can hear us.
I hope not. I don't want them to hear me chewing.
I think they can. Hold on. Let me turn that off. Let's see if it comes back. And we should be back. I am not seeing us back. Let me refresh this window. That sucks. I need to do that. Yep, we're back. Nice. Can you, in chat, can you hear us? Our audio's okay again?
How about
Nice.
me? Can you hear me? Why not ask? Yes.
Awesome.
Excellent.
So everybody we can both be heard clearly. Look at something. Oh, we got a few more. So thank you for waiting for our bio break.
Such a long break.
I know.
Sorry.
We tried to do it very fast tonight, so it didn't feel like it was going to go on and on and on. And there's not actually a whole lot more that we're going to do, but I did want to take a break and give Dylan a chance to go to the bathroom and all that, myself too, and then get to the next part. So before the break, you had established work and found blubber jerky is gross. Makes sense.
It's just wasteful, though. He doesn't understand. Like, why get rid of the oil? That's the flavor.
It is.
Especially since I assume he doesn't really know what that oil's for.
No, you don't. And as the last barrels roll on, you see the crew start to line up on the ship too. They start heading up to get onto the ship and get into their quarters or their work or whatever they're doing. You don't really know what they do on ships. Some of them go into the ship, some of them stay up on the deck, some of them start climbing these posts to go up where the cloth things are. And it's not long before you feel the boat catch wind and the sail fill up a little bit. And the captain is standing in front of this great wheel with posts on the side, bigger than her. And there are places where there are ropes wrapped around the handles on the side to keep it in positions. She's pulling those off, and you can feel the boat start to lurch out into the slush, because it is slushy. It's not just water at this point. It's starting to freeze up. And she's leaving late at night. And you can tell she is nervous about it. She keeps looking out to sea. She's looking at the stars for some reason. And she's giving the the people who are working on the boat all kinds of orders. She's telling them, do this, you need to pull the rope, lift the sail. And there's all kinds of activity happening in a really well-coordinated way. The only time you've seen that kind of coordination has been on a hunt, when you have been hunting something big and dangerous. And you realize that this is...
Fishing poles nearby. Don't drop it.
I did drop it. You don't see any? And
Yeah, that's what he would do. If there was a fishing pole, that's what he would start doing.
And then somebody comes over to you and says, you need to come help over here. And they put you down in the hold with all those barrels. And they're moving the barrels around to get them better situated. And you can feel the boat start to kind of rock back and forth a little bit. And it's a really disconcerting motion, because it goes from one side to the other side.
He's never been on a boat this big. He's only
No.
ever been on longboats.
Yeah, nothing like this. And this boat, it lurches and it has a weird motion to it. It's very rhythmic, but it goes counter. The motion of it feels counter to the sounds of all the waves hitting it, which are a different, a different rhythm.
You might see that blubber again.
And you can hear the boat creaking as it shifts in the slush, and you start to feel your body doing this just as you're doing stuff, and it feels really odd. Your head just doesn't feel right. And you've been on boats, but you've never been on a boat that felt quite this way. I mean, when you're on boats, you really were at the mercy of the waves. You could move with them or against them, and you knew what to expect with all the motion. Here, it's like it ignores the ocean from inside, at least. And you just, it's a little nauseating. You can feel like the churning in your stomach. But you've just eaten recently. That blubber wasn't very good. You didn't eat much, thank goodness. And you're able to hold it down. And they just have you start moving barrels and shifting the barrels to get them all straight and flat. And they're trying to maximize the space they sit in as low as possible. So if they have any that are really high up in the center where they dropped them into the hold, they're taking them from the center now and moving them to the sides.
He does understand the need for this, because this sort of like organization has been done in like longhouses.
Yes.
Through the winter.
Yep.
So he sort of has a sense of where things will go next.
Make me an intelligence check.
I have a negative one. 17.
Okay. Oh, that's good. You do seem to pick up on what they're doing enough that they sort of leave you alone and let you do what you're doing without. It doesn't take long before they stop telling you every few steps what to do. And that is very interesting. You didn't expect that to happen, and it turned into a certain level of trust that you would be able to do this and not have to be, someone right over you the whole time. It takes several hours of this to finish, really balancing out the hold. And that's what you realize they're doing. They're balancing it out to make sure that everything's as low as possible and spread out as evenly as possible in the bottom, in the hold. After all that time, they said, let's head up now. And they bring you up, and there's no longer any slush in the ocean. You realize you've been probably traveling half the night, and the Captain Omari, is still up on the deck, and she's looking out. She's looking at the stars up on the deck, higher than the hold. And when you come out of the hold, she turns and looks at you. You can come up, she says to you.
Like he looks around.
The other people just go do their own stuff.
So, seeing that he's the only one around, he'll walk up slowly and come up to the helm.
You said your name is Eslov, correct?
Yes, that's right.
You're from one of the tribes in the north.
I was.
Way up into the blue wastes.
I was.
I see. Family differences.
I still don't understand this word, family.
I understand that your family is everyone. Correct? That you are with.
You are referring to community, yes. That would be my family.
I've only met your kind that are walking alone when they have been exited from their families.
sort of nods slowly and then looks down.
You know, the stars are telling us a lot tonight.
I don't understand. How can the stars speak? They are but spots in the sky.
They are. But they move. And they make patterns. And they mean things when you learn to read them. No different than learning to write written letters. Maybe a little different. And when she says that, a little different, like her eyes, like the redness of them brightens up a little bit. So in your
So
your
what do you
family,
see in the stars?
I see that we're going to have rain tomorrow, and we'll have it by noon.
You're making that up. There's no way you can tell that just by the stars.
The stars don't only speak to me. What do you see in the stars?
He looks up. Brightness, I see. Does he see anything in particular?
Tell me, do you see anything in particular?
He just sees the stars.
I see.
An empty sky. Well, empty in the sense that there's nothing to it. There's no patterns. There's no rhyme or reason. It's just a spread.
You don't trust your inner eye. You're young.
I'm not that young.
What color are you in the summer?
I am a black. A rich charcoal black.
I see you have your winter coat, though. Your winter colors.
Indeed.
You know that others of your kind that don't live in the north, they don't do that.
Do what?
They don't
Have
change
skin?
color. They don't change color. They're the same color all year round. That's a very interesting thing, don't you think?
How are they going to hide when the seasons change, though?
They don't need to hide. There's plenty of things to hide them. Where you're from, there's only the snow to hide you. And I would imagine a dark black body in the middle of all the snow would be an easy thing to spot, so the gray makes sense.
What color are they?
Different colors. There are red ones, and some of them are green and blue. Some have like a sheen like gold. And she reaches in her pocket and she takes out a little round piece of metal. You know what metal is. She goes,
He knows
"This
what
is
metal
a-"
is, but he's never seen gold.
Right. She goes, "This is a gold coin, and it's a yellow metal. It's pretty."
He looks at it. Does she give it to him?
No.
Okay, so he stares at it. And
And
he's got
there's-
his mouth.
There's a head on it, like a head like artistically carved into it or something.
How is he's just he's so confused by this. What is this?
This is
What use does this have?
it's money. You would use it to purchase things.
Raises an eyebrows.
I understand you don't use money where you're from. Your tribes aren't like that, but everywhere else in the world, money is what allows you to survive, and you will need to make this, to earn this.
Can you not just trade furs or other goods?
You can. When we get to Elixia, I'm going to give you some of these coins. But I'm not going to continue with you after Elixia.
Why is that?
I need a skilled hand, somebody who has the experience that I need to replace the one that fell. You were a boon when I came across you, and I thank the stars for that. But you will probably be able to find a new way and a new home on Elixia. It is definitely not like where you're from.
In what way?
Much of the year there's no snow, like your summer, but it's like that for much longer. And when there is snow, it's rarely like you see where you're from. But you'll like it, I think. How far have you traveled outside of your previous family?
I lost track of the miles halfway through the second week.
I think it's I think when people leave their families, people like you, I mean, it sometimes makes them much stronger of people. And sometimes they can earn their way back into their family. And sometimes they realize that wasn't really their family.
Got nothing left. I don't think I'll be earning much. I'm just trying to stay alive. For what ends? I don't know.
The staying alive part is, you're past that. You survived, you made it here, you'll be in a place where there'll be more people, there'll be opportunities that you've never seen or experienced. You will have to learn quickly, though.
So what can you teach me?
I've been teaching you all day.
Yes, but what else?
I'm trying to teach you to read the stars, but I don't think that that's in you at the moment.
Surely.
Hopefully
Tell me
when
how
we
to
get
read them.
hopefully when we get to Elixia, we'll make it in time for the festival. It would be an experience for you to be there for that. One that you will never forget.
We have had the closest term I can think of. I've heard this term festival before, but the closest thing we have are feasts and ceremonies.
Oh, it's a feast. It's a feast like nothing you've seen. There's an abundance of food that is almost offensive. How much food that they have compared to what you've had.
Is that not wasteful?
Not during not during this festival. Everything gets ate. Everything gets drank. Afterwards, it would maybe have been, but there's very little left. What?
And why do they do this?
They're celebrating. It's funny. They think they're celebrating one thing, and they're really not. They think that they're celebrating the end of the harvest season, beginning of winter. Obviously, we're in the middle of winter up here already. Down there, winter is going to be setting upon them soon. Did they give you a bed yet?
No. I was just going to sleep on the floor.
Nonsense. If you're on the floor, somebody will trip over you. And she raises a hand and waves at somebody, and somebody comes over. You don't know who it is. They look a little different than a human. They have ears that are a little longer and pointier. The skin is a little darker. They have like a darker complexion. And there's something different like about their demeanor. It's very calm and not very human-like. It's hard for you to describe.
Yeah, he doesn't say anything. He just assumes it's an odd person.
Eslav is going to need a bed. Can you make accommodations, Katla? And Katla nods. I'll come retrieve him when I've when I've gotten him set up. And she leaves. So
He's gonna give her a nod as she leaves.
to read the stars, you have to look at them every night. You can't look at them only one night and make a determination. You need to start learning where they are and where they move. If you start to recognize that, other things will become apparent. Things that you thought were meaningless, you'll notice happen based on, how would you say it? Things will happen and you'll start to learn to expect them based on what the sky and the stars are telling you.
Interesting. I always read the moons.
Oh, the moons tell a lot too. And they've been telling even more lately.
Does Eslov know?
No.
Kind of, okay.
You've seen Mava in the sky a lot lately, I assume. And you have, that's the small one, the chaotic one.
Chaotic, okay. Yes. Yeah, she is an ill omen indeed.
I wouldn't use the word ill. She is an omen of change. It can be ill, but change rarely goes on without it being fortuitous for someone.
And look where change has gotten me.
Yes. Look where it's gotten you.
It could be worse, I suppose.
So we'll have a couple of weeks of chatting. I'd like to hear your story over the next few weeks at night. When you're not working, of course.
I would be willing to share. I have no secrets.
And Katla comes back. Says his accommodations have been made. Well, get some sleep. You'll be up early in the morning. I'm sorry that I kept you up so long.
He nods to her and then he says goodnight in common, but then he also says goodnight in his native language.
She doesn't really say or acknowledge either. By the time you're saying it, she's turning back and looking up and going to the wheel, and you see her move the wheel a little bit and then put another rope onto it. After a while, after several weeks, you realize that the wheel turning affects the direction of the ship.
It takes
Not very
them a little
quickly.
bit to figure it out.
Yeah, it's not quick, because it's not quick. I mean, the wheels, she's not like making these giant spins. They're very subtle, but they are changing it. And
Every night he's going to look at the stars and ask her about them.
and you start to recognize that some stars, you think, I mean, it's not really totally clear, but you think some of them are not in the same places every night. They're a little bit different. Some of them go in a little circle, you think, some of them. And by the way, on the morning that she said, by noon, there was a rain squall.
Blows his mind for the 50th time.
What?
He's like, wow.
Yeah.
That blows his mind for the 50th time.
That would have been useful to know if you were in the tribe with that.
What he thinks. He's like, where can I learn this power?
And she starts explaining to you the movement. I mean, you don't seem to understand what exactly she's trying to teach you or show you, but you do know that there's something about what she's saying that has some merit. It's just hard to tell exactly what that merit is. It's working. She predicts things from the movement of stars or whatever, and every time she does and she says it, it happens. Every time. She doesn't say what's going to happen very frequently, but when she does, it always happens. She'll say, "Oh, we'll get a snow, tomorrow early in the morning," and there's nothing in the sky that suggests it to you. She'll say things like, "If we're not careful, the boat is going to take on a leak, so we're going to travel another way." Now, in that case, the boat did not take on a leak, so it's hard to know whether it was really a call or not, but she seems to be pretty knowledgeable about that sort of stuff. Then the captain one night says, "You need to get back down. We're going to need all the hands below. We're going to be taking on water soon, and we need to make sure that we can limp all the way in." You're not exactly sure what that means.
At this point, you started to trust her, so as soon as she tells him to do this, he's like, "All right," and he gets down there.
And you can see that Katla's in there yelling at people across the rooms. "We're going to have water. We need to get the buckets. We're going to be taking water on in the morning." And it seems odd, like, why would they be taking water onto a boat? Ocean water. And
he'll pick up the biggest bucket he can find, which is, I assume, to be an empty barrel.
And you see up ahead what look like little mountains of ice in the middle of the ocean. Some are big, some are little.
I'm sure he's seen these mountains before, so he understands what they mean by that.
And they're moving. Like, as you get closer, some of them will do this kind of thing, and they're not fast. And then there's one that it looks like it has a plateau on the top, and as you get closer, it does this. It rolls over, and the bottom of it becomes the top. And when it does, this huge wave gets pushed towards the boat. And that's when you realize, oh, you're not taking water on purpose. And the water's... And you see a lot of the sailors, some go down below, some start bracing. And you can see like a rolling wave. And it's weird because it's like it moves slow. You think it's moving slow because it's coming right at you, but it's getting taller and taller. And then the whole ship, just in a single motion, just goes, it rises. And the front of it lifts up into the sky, and then the ship rolls over the top of this wave with a boom, like an explosion. And the water sprayed everywhere, and you feel and hear the sound of wood cracking. "Everyone down below!" You hear her and Katla yelling. And then you see people starting to make lines to throw buckets of water out. And she moves into action very quickly too. You've not seen her actually do any real work this whole time. You're like, she does nothing. It's really weird. But when she gets down there, you can see that when she's working and she puts her mind to it, her speed is, she moves quick. And she starts heating up something in a bucket, not a bucket, in a kettle, with her hands. Like you can feel fire and heat come off her hands. And there's some kind of a black liquid in there. And they start taking these wooden, I don't know how to describe it exactly, but it's wood with swirled like carvings in it, almost like a spiral down. And they'll take it over to what look like places in the hull that water's leaking in. And none of them are pouring in, but they're leaking, and they start spattering this black goo onto it. And when it hits, steam rises off it, and it sets into the wood, and it starts stopping the leak. It's like sealing it. And it takes hours and hours and hours of doing this for the leaks to all be solved. And all this time, there are people who are just making lines, emptying buckets off the side of the boat. They'll fill a bucket, carry it to another person on the bottom of the stairs, who will take it up the stairs to another person, who will take it to the edge of the boat and throw it over. And there'll be teams of these people all doing this simultaneously. And you realize there's a lot of coordination in the world. It's not just the hunt. People coordinate things that you would have thought unnecessary, but in a case like this, it probably kept the boat from sinking. And the boat is heavy. All the barrels have been thrown around again. They're not where they were supposed to be. They were strapped down, so they didn't move as much as you would have thought they would have. But all that work you had done initially has to be redone. So over another day or two, you continue doing that, and you realize when you come back up the next time that those mountains are behind you, and they're tiny in the distance, and somehow you went through them and found a way through without taking any real damage. And you continue doing the same stuff for several days, and then days become weeks, and then one day you hear someone say, "Land ho!" really loud, like just yells, "Land ho!" And Omara comes down. Wormling. I said I would have these for you, and she gives you a little bag with a leather bag with some leather ties. Hands it to you. You'll need this on Elixia. Once we arrive, you are free to head into town. I want to thank you for your time and what you've done. You've brought honor to your family. They may not know that, but you have. It was a pleasure meeting you.
Amigos.
And she starts telling other people what to do.
So she hasn't even get a chance to respond.
She lets you talk.
He goes likewise. Thank you for teaching me about the stars. I will continue to learn as much as I can about them.
There's so much to learn. The stars take time. I actually envy you. You're in a position to walk into a whole new world now. You should savor that opportunity. It doesn't happen very often for most people. But be careful. People will want to take those coins from you. And sometimes you have to give some. You need to learn the value of them so that you don't give too much or too many.
Well, I don't think they'll take mine without permission.
And you guys continue working the boats. You see that they all coordinate again. The sails start coming down lower, and the ship slows down, and you can see that they very skillfully pull into this port, and the ship comes in at a near standstill. They throw ropes off to the side, and the people on the dock start grabbing the ropes and tying them off. And it's kind of a ballet of odd efforts to make a ship do the things that they needed it to do. And people start gathering up on the ship. You can see there's excitement on them. And when you come up to the top again, she goes, "You're in luck. We're in time for the festival." And she slaps you on the back. "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to hit you on the sore spot. I really do admire your skin art, though."
My skin art?
Yeah, sure. The art on your back. It was new when you came onto the ship. Pretty new.
What are you talking about? Like, for the first time in a long time, he's just like genuinely bewildered again.
You need to, I guess you need to find a reflection or something.
Look at it. Is he able to see anything?
No. When you feel it, you can feel there's a little bit of no, you don't even feel it. It's too late now to feel it. Well, enjoy your time here. And she goes back to work, and you
Once again, thank you.
and you
Oh,
and out on the shore. Go on. Sorry.
but he understands like what a handshake is, so he'll like hesitantly reach his hand out to shake hers.
You've been learning. And she puts her hand out and takes it in your hand.
He sort of just holds it there. He doesn't really understand.
She shakes it for you. She shakes it for you to make it easier. It's an odd custom, but it's a good one. Connection with people is important. And she jumps off the side of the ship onto the dock and starts heading into town. And you can see the town is bustling with activity. There are probably more people in this town that you can see from here than all the people you've seen in everywhere you've been combined.
He's just awestruck for a second. He's standing on the helm of the ship, just looking at the town and taking it all in.
It's warm here comparatively.
Right, he starts to take off his clothes a little bit. Not all of them, but he like takes off his shirt so that he's bare chested, and he takes a deep breath as he steps off the ship.
And it's an odd feeling now when you step on the land. Make me a dex check.
Three.
You hit the dock and you stand. You think you're standing and you realize you're falling over. And you actually have to catch yourself. Because you're so used to the movement now, it feels weird to be on the land. And you hear people behind you start laughing. Ah, he's never had to get his land legs back.
He looks down as he tries to compose himself, ignoring their comments, and he just leans against the post for a minute while he gets his bearings.
And one of them comes down. You'll get him back soon enough. It just takes a moment. We've been at sea for a long time.
I've never lost my legs. I still have them, see?
Ah, sure. Oh, you lost them. We saw you lose them. And that one heads into town, and you can see that their excitement is palpable. They're all heading into town that can leave. The captain is talking to somebody at the end of the dock, and it just seems like there's just a bustle of activity unlike anything you've seen.
Before he heads into town, he's going to go around to the water's edge, and he'll try and get a look at his back.
And you do get a look, and there is something on your back. And hold on, I'll show it to you, but it'll take me a second to bring it up. Give me a second.
The record, he has no idea that tattoos are even possible. I don't think his community even does tattoos.
Change the art a little.
Dice.
Okay, let me see if I don't know if I can make this fit. I'll try. Can't make it fit, but I'll scroll over it. You're going to see it in a second. So
It'll take a minute, but I'll see it.
you will. And once it's showing up, it'll take me a second to bring up the file. Nice. That doesn't look like the die you were looking at before. Oh, you can't even see enough of it. Maybe I can make it fit better. You know what? I'm going to drop it in Discord.
No, this giant die is not the one that I've been holding, because this one is actually weighted.
Oh.
It always rolls low.
I'm going to drop your...
Because, as I have learned, after I bought it, it is not for rolling, it is for keeping track of health in Magic the Gathering.
Oh.
Which is a game I do not play.
Yeah.
So it is useless to me.
Yeah. I don't play it anymore either. I did at one time, and it got, like, ridiculously expensive.
Oh yeah, it's crazy.
So I'm going to put you... So I just dropped it into... Oh, you know, I did put it in the wrong place. Give me a second. I want to put it in Myst discussion, so if anybody wants to see it, it will be there in a moment on our Discord. But you now have some beautiful art that is somehow on or in your skin. How exciting. You don't know how it got there.
Oh wow. Yeah, that's quite impressive.
You know, it's just a
can
picture.
Okay. How big is this?
It goes from the middle of your back to just above your tail.
Okay, so it's like maybe half a foot long.
No, it's probably closer to. Let's see, your back. It's probably closer to 2 feet long. And it's right down the center. Yep, right down the center.
Yeah, he just like runs his hands over it over and over again.
You can't feel it. It's like it's painted right into the skin.
He like scratches and tries to chip it off.
No, doesn't come off.
He gets a handful of water and he begins to scrub his back.
It has no effect on the art. Maybe it'll wear off over time. Who knows? I mean, it's probably paint, so, or some kind of, dye. Probably just stained your skin.
Yeah. He kind of grunts and frustration for a second. He steps away from the water, still scratching his head, like, how did this end up on me? Like, why is it so intricate?
Weird.
He's trying to rack his brain for where this could have come from.
Well, you didn't have it when you left your family, you don't think.
He knows that much. He knows that much.
And you were...
And he did meet a very strange woman.
Yeah. And Omari said that it was there when you got on the boat, on the ship.
I wonder if S-Love is smart enough to use.
Yeah, he is.
He puts two and two together.
Yeah, it's not that hard.
He needs to find someone who knows what this means.
Maybe.
That's
That's
what
probably...
he's thinking about right now. Who either knows what this means or know what this is. Because as of now, he still thinks this is just like paint on him.
Yeah.
So he heads into town.
And as you head into town, you hear, "Worm! Worm! A hand, please, Worm!"
He looks over.
And there's some person up at the edge of the town calling your name. It's
He'll,
someone...
like, look left, he'll look right, and then he'll walk over.
And she's looking at you. And she has pointy ears and tallish. Not tall like you, but tall for a human.
Pretty human. Yes, he was totally a human.
A pointy-eared human.
It's not the same elf that was on the boat, right?
No. What's an elf?
So, yeah, he goes up to her.
You don't know what an elf is?
I know what an elf is.
Yeah, I know.
He doesn't know that, but I do.
But you realize there's a lot of people here with pointy ears. That must be a thing here.
Some sort of fashion statement. So he goes up to her and he's like, "Yes? Do you need something from me?"
And she says, "Line up with the rest of them. Give me a moment. I'll be right with you." And there's a bunch of people who are lined up in a queue. And she's got several people with her, and she's talking to them one at a time. And you can hear her as she gets closer to you, talking to the people in front. It's important now.
Several times he's going to try and walk away.
And one of them says, no, you have to wait here for a moment.
So every time he goes back, he doesn't like put up a fight or anything. He's just like, oh.
And she gets to you, and she goes, "Now it's very important to participate in the feast. You have to put work in also. Everybody who participates must work. Are you willing to work for your food and for the festival?" Excellent.
I've done that my entire life.
So what I'm going to do, I'm going to hand you to Fiorella, and she's going to take you to someone who you'll assist. Is that okay?
Yes, but
Fiorella.
why do so many people here have those ears?
What
I find it
ears?
odd. I've never seen humans with ears such as yours, or hers, or his.
Humans? I'm not a human. I'm an elf.
Elf?
I'm a wood elf. And Fiorella here is a gnome, and you realize that Fiorella, when you look down, is like a child in height. But then you look at her and you realize she's not a child. She looks old. It makes no sense.
He's so confused. He's like, what's an elf? What is a gnome?
All right, Fiorella, you know who could use his help? Take him to Morkent. And she looks at you for a moment, like unsure what to do or say. and she reaches her hand out, almost like a handshake, but palm up.
You're like, he doesn't know what to do. He reaches his arm out too, but he's just sort of like.
And she takes your hand when you put your arm out, and she starts walking with you. And oh my God, the walking is so slow. It's like torturously slow to walk with this very small person. Your legs can barely make those tiny steps to keep at that slow of a pace. And she keeps walking, and she goes, "You've never seen an elf or a gnome?"
I still don't know. What do these words mean? What is an elf?
Well, that
What is a
woman,
gnome?
they're types of people. I'm a gnome.
You just look like a short human to me.
And she looked so offended at that statement. I am no human. I'm a gnome.
He's like,
Do I look like
My
a human?
apologies.
I don't look like a
My-
human.
he's very sorry. My apologies. I didn't mean to offend. I don't understand.
And as you're walking, you see someone walk past you that looks like a crow in clothes. And it's like you just, you
He
ignore
stops
the
it in
gnome.
his tracks.
Right.
He's never seen a bird this big.
Wearing clothes.
And his jaw just opens.
And it's talking to somebody as they go by. And the gnome is just watching you as you're doing this. Oh my God, you've never seen anything but dragonborn and humans, have you?
Yes, I thought that's the only two types of people exist.
There's so many people. Oh my God. You need some real education. And Morgan just got moved up in stature. I mean, maybe this is part of his hazing. You can't say that, by the way.
Huh?
You don't even know what that means.
Yeah, he's lost. He's still enamored by the bird. He's still watching it.
It goes past. It's like fades into the crowd.
Is it a Kenku?
Yes.
Okay.
It was the only one you've seen there. You don't see any others.
Right. He's gonna like take a brief look around. Is there anyone else who stands out?
Yeah, you do see someone in the crowd that looks sort of like a snowcat. That's really different.
See, the thing is that he would have probably eaten snowcats before,
Yeah, probably.
so he's gonna he looks at them and then he immediately looks away.
You see,
Like, uh-oh.
It's mostly, now that you're looking at it, you realize it's mostly elves, these, what they call elves, with a little bit less humans, and then very rare, not very rare, less common other ones like the snowcat person, the crow person.
Is there
This
any other
one.
dragonborn here?
Nope, you don't see any others. But they did call you a worm when you came off the boat, off the ship. So they obviously knew what you were.
Mm-hmm.
And the gnome tugs on your hand again and starts walking you a little further. And you turn a corner and you see more people in one space than you thought would be possible. And they're all doing something with ribbons. And you see this man with no shirt on what looks like a really tiny ladder on this giant pole in the middle of this circle. Like the town wraps around this part of the town, the buildings do, in a big circle. And there's this pole that it goes up maybe 50 or 60 feet. And he's climbing this ladder, shirt off, and he's carrying ropes on his way up. And she goes, when he comes down, that's the one you need to see. and he looks very nervous climbing this ladder as high as he's going. And this is where we're going to break.
Okay. Beautiful. That was wonderful.
I think it was funny that you got to see a king coup. That was the funniest part.
Given me a lot of plot hooks to worry about now.
Oh, yeah. You have so many plot hooks. I'm like loving them all.
For the record, I will take the stars thing further than you thought I would.
Okay. No, I don't mind that. So, any comments from the chat? We haven't heard from chat in a long time. Not since got a tattoo after drinking unknown liquor.
Ask me anything. AMA.
Ask any of us anything.
5 viewers.
Yeah, no, we didn't.
Yeah.
I don't think we lost any. I think we gained a couple, actually.
Yeah.
Now.
Yeah. People left for the intermission when they came back.
Yeah, that is
you guys think?
pretty typical if you do it
Interesting?
fast.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm
What was
gonna
your favorite part?
head over to Discord for a little bit. You know, that way we can chat there if anybody wants to ask questions or maybe ask you questions. Now that they've seen you in action, they might have a lot of questions for you.
Please ask me questions. I love questions.
All right.
We'll answer them all night.
So we're going to head over to the Discord. I want to thank all of you for coming aboard tonight, and we will be live again tomorrow night with, hold on, let me look at my schedule. I don't even remember at the moment.
I will not be on camera, unfortunately, for you guys, but you will see some other lovely people.
Where'd my file go? Give me a second. There's my schedule. Okay, so tomorrow night is going to be Jasmine and Aryan. So that's Meadow and Kian. That's the character names. We're super excited about them. That's going to be at 8:30 also. Tonight was a solo. Tomorrow will be a dual adventure, two people playing. And the following night will be Morgan and Brandon. They're two other people.
And after that,
And then Saturday night,
for real.
and then Saturday night, right? The campaign officially starts Saturday at 8:30. We would love to have all of you you come and join. You can be livelier in chat. We might actually on Saturday, by the way, we are going to be doing a giveaway of some art prints by the illustrator Chris Miller, who in the 90s was a really well-known illustrator, famous. Not quite at the level of Boris Vallejo, but the tier right below that. And his artwork is just beautiful. They're signed. The set, there's one of them. The first one is signed and numbered. They only printed 1,500. I think this is set number 1269 or something like that. 1,300. It's not one of the lower numbers. It's towards the end, but it's beautiful. I think they're going to find it really exciting. And we'll be doing a giveaway of that during the stream. And I look forward to seeing the rest of you tomorrow. Have a good night, everybody. We'll see you in Discord if you want to come chat.
All right.
Good night. And it has gone to end. Okay. Well, that was fun. That was cool.
Yeah. Great first session.
I loved it. It was hard for me to contain my excitement at you getting a tattoo you didn't know about.
That's always cool. I love it when stuff like that happens. Always very interesting.
I gave you a few hints, but enough that it would make it.
I did forget about the tattoo, by the way. I did forget about the tattoo until she was like, "I like your art."
Yeah. So, all right. I'm gonna head over to Discord. Thank you. Am I looking at you now? No, I'm
Thank
not.
you.
It was awesome.
No, now you are.
Yeah, now I am. I'm sorry. It was very expositional tonight. It'll be more role play, all that.
Okay, good.
Yeah, there was so much. It was backstory. I couldn't
You
really.
You had to get me there. I understand.
Yeah.
You had to put me in my place.
I needed to put you in the place, not your place.
The place. Well, it's my place now. I'm not on this place.
Yeah. So we'll hopefully in the next during the Saturday session there'll be less exposition. It won't be so much me telling you what's going on and what you're doing. It'll be on you to know what you're doing and tell me what you're doing.
Okay.
But I just needed to get you here, and because it was backstory, I didn't want to create things for your backstory to change before the game started. Oh, the audio's still on. My God, that audio.
Well, they didn't hear anything important.
No, they didn't. They heard us chatting about it. That's cool. I'll turn the audio off. No more audio for them.